Hello and welcome.
Boom.
I am the Restless Kaiser.
No, I'm Johnny B.
I'm Clueless Mike.
And I'm Jason Proud.
But together we are
Modeling for Advantage.
Trying to steal my lines, douche.
I've completely thrown myself because John is in the wrong place. There we go. I immediately realised as we were doing that bit.
I mean, it confused the hell out of me.
Wow, we are slack-jawed idiots, aren't we? Easily confused. Good evening, everyone. Quick look around the client. Team Clueless Games. Nick is here, of course. Ali, good evening. Josh Wood, more from Team Clueless Games. All the chatter. What's everyone working on? Doing some Cursed City models. St. Andy 11 Blight Lord Terminators. Mate, Blight Lords, they're gonna be appearing on this channel soon.
Assuming that is my mate Andy, he doesn't need any more Blight Lord Terminators, so don't paint them, Andy. You don't need any more.
Duncan FX is here. Good evening, mate. Tony Holton is here. Friends of General Haig is here. Ahoy there, matey. 30 years Swedes. Mate, I wouldn't touch a 30-year-old turnip, honestly. E.S. Taylor and a Steve Harbour. Good evening, one and all. So, quick whiz round. We'll let Jason to introduce himself for those of you that don't know in a minute. But what's everybody up to tonight? Me, proper exciting. I am going to dry brush some movement trays. Woo!
Oh, wow.
Achievable goal. Charlie Fox,
winner.
movement trays. This is for SPQR. That's the skirmish base. Jay Bizzle, what are you up to, buddy?
It seems to be the night of the dry brush. I'm dry brushing also for SPQR. Some of the hovels. I've got a haystack, which is a lovely piece.
Oh, nice.
And I'm doing it's either a cock coop or a chicken apartment, something like that. It's something. But yeah, little birdies will live in there that lay eggs. I'm going to do that, and possibly some naked dudes as well. So bums and willies. I might do bums and willies.
Are they naked both sides?
Sorry?
Are they naked on both sides, or are they?
Yes.
Nicely placed.
I thought he was asking if you were
naked
naked on both sides.
Anyway, what colour red are you painting tonight, Michael?
So I am painting a Dark Angel. I know this will be a shock to many viewers, but I'm painting him as a Blood Angel, but then I'm going to use him as a Dark Angel. So this is one of the models from the old starter set, who I'm using as a Count Azrael, the chapter master of the Dark Angel. But I'm painting him red, obviously.
Obviously.
What are you painting, Jason? What are the plethora of things that you've got through the door are you painting today?
Well, I am painting some wrestlers for my Rumble Slam warband.
Ooh.
And I'm also working on a color scheme for my Saga Age of Magic warband.
Ooh.
So I'm actually doing some of my own stuff.
I was going to say, that doesn't sound like commission.
No, but this is a more relaxed stream. So, you know, although I was just telling the guys beforehand, loads of stuff just turned up. So I will.
But before you relax, sir, because it's that time of the stream again, you're going to have to do a little bit of work. And I'm going to ask you, who is your daddy and what does he do?
My daddy is Steve Batchelor. And
hang on a minute.
That's John's dad.
No, I'm Jason Proud. I run painting nights with my other half, who's sitting actually across me, staring at me and telling me not to point the camera towards her.
Smart girl.
And we're a commission painting service. We also do a YouTube channel we call Battle Nights, where we do battle reports and reviews on different types of games. We play narrative campaigns and just having fun with the hobby, because the hobby is awesome.
Nice. This is good.
Awesome.
Back to the fore.
So, like a lot of people in your position, when giving this, you didn't actually mention the name of your YouTube channel. So, you've got two, haven't you?
Well, yeah, the one's on a hiatus at the moment. I got 2 channels. One's called Battle Nights, which is my war game channel, which this is where we do the battle reports, and I do like a weekly painting diary where I show everything I've painted for that week, and news, wargaming news, things like that. And then my other channel is called Gaming Nights, and it's a board game sort of channel, because I work part-time for a couple of board game companies where I go around to conventions and then I show their games off to people, demo them, and basically just promote their games. And that's what that channel's for. But because of COVID, I haven't had a lot of chance to do that, so that's taken a hiatus.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So commission painting then, Jason, while we're on the subject, I have a Freudian slip, which John finds very funny. I always call Jason Justin. And it's just ridiculous.
That is funny.
Because it's been far too long for that still to be acceptable. So if I call for Justin tonight, I mean Jason, and I should know that. So the commission painting thing, and we're going to show the guys loads of pretty pictures of some of the stuff that you do. Well, let's start then. So how did you get into that? You know, tell us about the lifestyle. I don't mean the swinging and the dogging. I mean the commission painting.
Well, it's interesting. I never really decided to do that. It was I used to own a shop, a gaming shop called Fantasy War Games. That's where I met these 2 fabulous gentlemen.
Certainly is. I was but a small child at the time, and he groomed me.
And it sort of started off there, where during the day, sometimes when the shop was, not as busy as I would have liked it to be, and YouTube wasn't and social media wasn't as big then. I used to do commission painting just during the day. Once I've done the stock check-in and there's no customers around, kids are at school or whatever the case may be, I used to paint up some stuff for the customers and that sort of thing. And then we went through, oh man, I can't remember what the date was, but we went through a bit of a recession here in England. And my beautiful other half fell pregnant with our first child, so I closed the shop, and she kept her job, and I stayed at home doing painting and looking after the kids, and it just sort of grew from there.
Carried on, become a permanent fixture.
It's like a full-time job for the 2 of you. It's what you do. Yeah,
I mean, we're
lounger in there, right?
Yes.
Workspace, yeah.
Yeah. There's all these games behind me as well.
So
your house is like a game shop.
What was that?
Your house is like a game shop. I think you just moved all your stock there.
I actually think I have more stock in my house now than I did when I had my shop.
Oh yeah, much more.
For true.
I am going to set up. Go on.
I was going to say, have we got some pretty pictures of? Is that where we're going next?
That is where we're going. Let's see if I can do this.
Right. I thought you said you were going to put pretty pictures of me.
No. There's only so much magic. All right. So what we got here is, Jason. He is a commission painter. So let's have a look at some of the stuff that he does. What are we looking at here, buddy?
So these are the heroes from Dark Souls. This is a board game from Steamforged Games. And I got a commission to do the 4 heroes that came in the base set.
Mm-hmm.
And this was before everyone realized the game is rubbish, but
I was going to say that is notoriously one of the worst board games ever made, but nice.
Wow.
It was actually interesting. After I did the heroes, the guy who I did this for was thinking about doing the rest of the miniatures, but most of the miniatures in that board game are just plain metal, plain gold, brass, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And it was just like one of those things where you could just do this yourself. I can show you how. It'll take you 10 minutes to do that.
Okay. I mean, they're very dynamic poses, aren't they? They're all lunging and doing the splits.
They were actually pretty nice. They detailed miniatures. I don't have a problem with Steamforged Games' sculpting skills. They fantastic miniatures. And I added some of the shield emblems just to give them a little bit of differentiation. Oh my god.
Differentiation.
Yeah, that's close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were nice.
So this is probably going to come again. There's probably quite a bit of Kickstarter stuff in here. I was reading an article actually recently, very recently. I don't know, just one of these things that pops up on your feed on the internet when you says, "Yeah, is Kickstarter ruining board games?" And it was an interesting topic to think about because of the nature of Kickstarter. I mean, a lot of us have experienced games that are basically dead on release, right, through Kickstarter. Everybody that's interested has already invested a huge amount of money. Nobody's played the game. Is it any good? Who knows? But because of the stretch goal situation and the pre-bits, all of the expansions are released at the beginning. They're never going to fix any problems with the board game. Is essentially was the gist of this article. That generally if you've got a board game that could be good, but there's something it turns out about the scoring mechanic or whatever that's just you feel just fix this and this game would be a million times better. They normally do that through expansions, and that's just not happening anymore with all of these Kickstarter games because they've got loads of expansions on release. The expansions don't correct any issues with the rules at all. Or address the gameplay. I don't know.
Do you find that's the case, Jason? Have you got any examples of that? Any games you've kickstarted and it's just...
Well, the problem, I mean, Kickstarter is not going to go away, and it'll continue to grow with companies, but it evolves differently. Because there was a large period of time where companies were sticking on games like this game, for example, and just like throwing miniatures at Kickstarter backers and going, every $1,000 dollars, we're going to give you more miniatures. Yeah. Eventually it turns up at your house and you've got this huge box full of miniatures and expansions that you're never going to use. I can guarantee you that at least 75 to 80% of people who buy Kickstarter games don't use half the stuff that comes. And in fact, they come at such a rate that you don't even play half the games you get in. I mean, I remember a point where I backed a couple of games and they arrived on the same weekend, like 2 years after I backed them. And it took up, a whole chunk of my shelf. And I've not played either of those two games yet.
Yeah.
And then another one turned up a couple of weeks later and I sold that one without even opening the box because I just knew it was never going to get played. And I've kind of myself, I've gone off that sort of thing now because it's just too much. And you're right, Mike. Because of the nature of Kickstarter was, people wanted more and more stuff. So companies went into the Kickstarter with, this is all the stretch goals we've got planned ahead. Yeah. And it's grown from that to now where companies, when they go in with a game and they go, well, people don't like this anymore, but people are so used to getting so much free stuff with the game that if they don't add free stuff, it doesn't fun well.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, what do you call it? like a loop, like companies don't want to do this anymore because people don't like it anymore. But if they don't, it doesn't fun well.
Absolutely.
No, I think it's a big problem. I've gone completely off Kickstarter games for that reason. I'm very much a instant gratification type person. If I'm spending some money, I want the thing, I get it straight away. So waiting 2 years for a game is not onto me. And as you say, so many games you see are dead on delivery. It comes out and they'll all just be on eBay or Facebook straight away. As soon as it arrives through the door, the person who's ordered it has no interest. They've seen a bad review that's come out a couple of months beforehand by people who have got their copies early, and they just sell it straight away for less than they paid for it. It's not my way of buying games. Certainly not anymore.
It's also created a strange secondary market as well, where because a lot of the companies, when they produce these games on Kickstarter, they have a lot of exclusive content, to entice people to buy it. Therefore, someone will go in and buy 2 or 3 copies of the game, and when it arrives, they'll sell the other 2 copies to make back the money that they paid on their own copy, plus extra money in the kit. There's nothing wrong with that, but it obviously means you get this flood of this game just going everywhere when it arrives, and it immediately puts a damper on it. People are seeing it being sold for ridiculous prices, and it doesn't create that excitement as you would think.
And it is a form of gambling as well, isn't it? Because people are gambling that when it comes out, people are going to want the other stuff. They're going to spend their money doing that. Yeah, weird.
Odd.
Yeah. Hello there, beautiful people. Rosie Raccoon is in the house. Finished your dinner, have you? Frost and Fist, hey there, beautiful people. Who else? We got Josh Wood. Yes. All right, I've caught up with the comments. Let's have another look at one of Jason's pictures. Oh no.
This still looks like the same one.
Yeah, man. So what's this from?
So this is Gloomhaven. Oh no, this is still Dark Souls.
No, it's not.
That went wrong. Oh no!
There you go. That's the new one. That's the new one.
I'm trying to zoom the picture in and rotate through, but it's not letting me do both.
Boo! Boo! Yes, Taylor says only Kickstarter I've backed recently for Pulp Alley. Otherwise, I don't. Otherwise, I don't. Been scammed too many times. Oh, okay, right. Been scammed too many times. Is that a thing then on Kickstarters where they? I've only briefly heard like you'll back it and everything, and then it gets to a point of release and nothing comes out.
There are a few.
It does happen, but not as much as you would think. I mean, for every 100, 200 Kickstarters that comes up, you might get one that happens like that. In the board gaming industry, that is. I don't know about other industries, because Kickstarter is used, obviously, for many things. There was one that was funny. They came up a couple of years ago, where this guy had put up a whole game, like a Tales of Arabian Nights style miniatures war game, skirmish game. It looked fantastic, but it came out during the Kickstarter that it wasn't even a game. He just copied pictures from other stuff and used the descriptions from other games and stuff, and it was a complete fabrication. And it was pretty funny. Oh, not funny really, because luckily the community found out that it was nonsense, and then it didn't fund.
Yes, because once it's funded, they get the money, right?
Yeah.
Bloop.
And there's no real guarantee that they have to provide the game. It's because you're just investing, as they say.
Yeah. Kickstarter don't have that much pull. They can try and reclaim the money they've sent you, but if you've set it up right, I'm pretty sure you can scamper with the money, and you'll have set up a company that will be the people who might get sued, and the company will have no money, so no money will ever go back to them.
Yeah.
So what are we looking at here? And hopefully you can all see that next picture.
All right, so this is the #1 board game on Board Game Geek, Gloomhaven.
Ooh.
So what's interesting about this is I did these miniatures for the company when they brought this game to Kickstarter. So these were the original sort of 3D prints, if you like.
Oh wow!
And this game took off like crazy.
Yeah.
And because of this photo, the guy who owned the game, he did a how to play video with another company, and that video went completely viral, and I got so many commissions because of this photo for Gloomhaven.
Right.
That it's now one of my most hated games. I've not even played the game, and I refuse to play it because I'm sick of these bloody miniatures.
Just a rough number. How many copies have you painted of Gloomhaven?
Oh, jeez. 60,
Just like
70?
God.
Maybe.
And how many miniatures? How many miniatures are in these Gloomhaven kits?
There are 18 miniatures in the set, in the base set.
18.
And also, these 6 guys here are the starting characters. The other 12 are secret unlock characters. So people send them to me in these little box cubes. I paint them, and then I put them back in the cubes and seal them up and send them back. So most of the people who I painted them don't even know what those miniatures look like.
Wow.
How many of them did you troll and just never open the packet, just send it back saying, yeah, I did that, and hope they didn't actually play that one?
None. But there was one time where I got 18 miniatures sent through, and 2 of the miniatures, there's 18 individual miniatures, but 2 of them were exactly the same. So obviously it was a mispackage, and obviously the customer didn't know because he hasn't looked. He doesn't want to be spoiled because they're secret. No. So I had to then contact him and go, look here, mate, 2 of these are the same, and I can't tell you which 2 because it'll spoil it. So you're going to have to trust me that I'm going to go and sort this out for you and get the other ones done properly. Luckily, I knew I knew Isaac, so I could just contact him and go, I've got 2 of the same in this box, and they sent it back to me. So I've actually got the spare figure in my drawer over there, just one random Gloomhaven figure in my drawer.
Will never be painted.
Yeah. And I also have a bugbear about this game, is that this is what I call board game miniatures. You know, when we play with war game miniatures, miniatures designed in a certain way that they are easy to paint, easy to build, and are not, how should I say, they don't get in the way of your enjoyment of building and painting them. But miniatures sometimes in the board game industry are based on the artwork, and the artwork aren't designed to make miniatures out of them. So you have
you get crazy,
really obscure details, strange poses, things that look cool on artwork that don't really come out when you print them out on miniatures, and they're an absolute nightmare.
Somebody posted a question about the crossover of board games and war games just a moment ago. I don't know if Kaiser's there on the controls.
Let me go back to these.
I think it was Taylor, but it was very much sort of, you know, is there some sort of
is there a crossover between mini players, board game players, hence the growth of mini board games, friends of General Haig? And I think it depends. So I know some people are really in their groove, in their lane. I think it depends how much of a club player you are, because I think, and what kind of club you have, because in a lot of clubs, people are much more mixed about what they have their preferences, but because everything's going on all the time. I mean, you know, I'd even play a hand of Magic if I really had to, if that was all that was going on. I think, whereas I think people who play with a handful of friends and then go to tournaments or whatever are much more fixed on, I do this game or I do that game or I do miniatures games.
It did very much seem, though, for a while that nearly every board game that was coming into being had miniatures components.
Yeah,
I think that was the bit. It wasn't just like have some cubes and some dice. It was no, let's do some miniatures. It did seem like there was a big phase of that, but
I think a lot of that. Sorry.
In my experience, I tend to find that wargamers are partial to play board games, especially board games with miniatures. But board gamers tend not to play war games.
Yeah,
and the miniatures in board games are more like a deluxe component rather than the focal point of the game. Yeah. So, you know, like, for example, instead of having standees, you can have really cool miniatures. And in the board game industry, majority of people don't paint the miniatures. And if they had to build them, they wouldn't even bother using them.
Yeah,
that sounds fair.
I mean,
whereas obviously in the wargame world, we're all used to building and painting miniatures, so we're more enticed to board games with cool miniatures and are happy to paint them.
I can't bear board games that we're just fighting over a group of wooden blocks, or bidding. the Euro gamer, you know, the Agricola type games. Like, whoa, I'm collecting orange cubes. Awesome, awesome. But that's a personal thing, I guess. Shall we have a look at another picture? Or shall I go back through the comments? Okay. I think the miniatures in board game, as we came to before, is a Kickstarter thing, like Jason said.
Yeah, it's been a lot driven by, I mean, a load of board games copy Gloomhaven. It was so phenomenally successful and it had a ton of miniatures in. Why not copy and do the same? Miniatures don't cost that much to make, but you can charge quite a lot to stick them in.
Zombicide on Kickstarter. After 17 months, we'll keep painting for a year or two if I ever open it. Yeah, I mean, Zombicide is one that came with masses and masses of stuff, isn't it?
Loads of little zomboids.
Some countries have no recourse if you're scammed. Yeah, and often these things are happening internationally. I think it's really grim that that people can abuse Kickstarter like that. But I guess it's much more. It feels to me like it's a marketing thing. A lot of the stuff that you see on Kickstarter is pretty nearly finished. You're not helping somebody get started with an idea. You're helping somebody bring a product to market, and I think that's a really different thing. And I think for me, that's what banks are for. Go borrow the money.
Kickstarter is very much a pre-order program now, and also if you do your due diligence and have a check of the company, have they produced games before, what sort of standing do they have, what reputation do they have, you'll be fine.
Catch you in rerun Axe and Axe. Yeah. It seems board games sometimes have better figures than war games. 1666 has awesome figures.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
1666.
Is that Anno Domino, the Polish company that made Fire and Fury, I think? Is that the board game that they made?
Right.
Isn't Fire and Fury a 35-year-old set of American Civil War games rules? But it may be something else as well.
I can picture the rule book in my head. It has like winged hussars on the front. I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah.
Yes. He says yes.
It's something like that, isn't it? Yeah. Anyone know I can get a 28mm scale steam lorry? Very British Civil War. Mate, you want a die-cast one? Get a die-cast one for model railways. By Fire and Sword. That's the one you're talking about. Yeah.
That's it, yes.
That's the one. All right, let's look at the next picture.
Oh. Bomb.
This was for a game called Super Fantasy Brawl. It's by a French company called Mythic Games. And when they had the Kickstarter running, I painted these miniatures up for the Kickstarter for the UK side of things. And they hired me to do these. These were really fun to paint. They did, I think there was a range of something like 24 miniatures in the original Kickstarter. And they were super detailed, big, nice, chunky miniatures. And they were a lot of fun to paint.
They look cool. That one looks cool.
Yeah, I remember seeing these. They're really nice.
Yeah. What is that from? Oh, yeah, that's from Conan. That's from there's a board game called...
enemies.
That's right. I stuck that in just for you, John.
Thank you.
That's the only miniature I've painted from the Conan board game so far. It's stuck on my shelf with the top there.
Surely you would have started with Conan. Talking of Conan. I bought some miniatures, naturally, the other day. I can't remember where I bloody got them from. But they're ex-Rogue miniatures, not that you can see. But you can get Conan, Subutai, Valeria. You can get the crazy little monk wizard. And you can get the 3 main bad dudes, including Thulsa Doom. And I bought a giant snake.
The Conan board game comes with a giant snake.
Well, I've got another giant snake.
And I guess all those characters you just mentioned as well.
Let's just talk about our giant snakes, boys.
Giant snake.
I love this model. What's this from? Where's this in particular from?
That is Banana Man, and he was that was Robin. That was from the Batman board game. This was
Trotter, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. This was actually when the Kickstarter was going around. The company sent some miniatures around to some painters to promote the game on Kickstarter sort of thing, and they sent me this one. And I painted it, and then when mine arrived, it's the only miniature I have painted for mine.
Very nice.
A sexy, sweet.
Oh, slick.
It looks really nice.
That is a creamy, lovely, buttery yellow.
So I see here it's sculpted base. Is that right?
Yeah.
These look like base toppers, in fact. Is that right?
No, these are green stuff rollers.
Green stuff rollers. You're getting the old rolling pin out.
Yeah. I make a lot of my own bases for a lot of my armies and stuff. Although it's a lot. Sometimes there's a lot more effort with depending on the miniatures. Like once I did a Blood Bowl team with these green stuff roller, and because Games Workshop make a lot of their miniatures so dynamic that generally the slotter base is integral to the miniature stability.
Yeah.
When you have a Skaven that's tippy-toeing on the thing, and if you cut that off and stick it onto a custom base, it's never going to stay on there.
Yeah.
Come off every time. So I've learned a lot from those custom bases.
Yes. Oh, the eye of the beholder.
Yes.
This is D&D miniature.
This is one of those.
Noel's Marvelous Miniatures. Ooh.
It might be. You know, I know it's one of those WizKid models.
I think they're the same thing. They're from the same range.
Yeah, because this customer, he had a ton of these things, and he sent me a lot of these, and a lot of them came with these sort of acrylic clear bits as well, and they were really interesting. I really liked this one. I stuck this picture up because I quite liked how he came out. The eyes came out really nice. You know, the teeth got a rotten tint to it.
I'm guessing you didn't paint the eye though.
Not this eye, no. Carla paints the eyes.
Carla paints the eyes. Hey.
We have a really interesting dynamic, Carla and I. Like, I'm a much faster painter than she is, so I get through 85 to 90% of the miniatures as fast as I can, but as neat as I can, and as as detailed as I can. And then she is a far more detailed painter than I am. She picks out and adds so much detail to things. Like, for example, she's actually sitting across me now, and she's painting mushroom pieces for Bad Squiddo games. And they got like little caterpillars on them and little spiders and snails. She adds like slug snail streams, and the spiders have these luminous colors to them. She adds all those details to it, which goes from where you have a miniature which looks great to a miniature that looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice. So this stony dwarf here with his crystallized bits.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is also Super Fantasy Brawl. This is one of the fighters,
right.
And it was the crystal thing was actually really interesting. I followed a tutorial online for that because I wanted to make these miniatures look as good as I could get them, because obviously painting for Mythic Games was a big deal, and a lot of people were going to see it and they were going to advertise it, and I was like, no, I gotta step up my game with this. So
we've got a lot of pictures here, and I don't want to spend the whole hour doing it. So
really?
What have we got here?
These are TT Combat's halfling wraith ponies.
Halfling wraith. You've got a real halfling thing going on. Are these Cthulhuids?
Yeah, I think this was from a Death May Die or something like that. I don't know where they were from, but they are Cthulhu stuff.
Really?
Now here we go. Onto the real stuff.
These are
beauties.
Victrix Numidians.
Victrix Numidian cavalry.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, Numidian cavalry, awesome. Tell me about these shields.
These are little big men transfers.
Oh, really? That's not hand painting?
No. Oh, you nuts. Take me all day to sit there painting leopard skin dots and things like that. No, these are transfers.
That's really good transfer,
man.
They're very nice transfers. I need them. Right.
They do two different types. They do these animal skin ones, and they do just the normal, patterned ones. But I love the idea of the animal skin ones because they just look so cool.
You missed the trick there, mate. If you had said you painted those, the commission would have come rolling in, and you could have just stuck some transfers on, charged them 10 quid out the door.
So these are the probably doesn't really exist troops from Victrix, aren't they?
Oh, there's a Numidian infantry that they do. But they do on the sprue. You can either make them as the unarmored or the armored versions, and I made these as the armored versions.
Is this not what they call Carthaginian citizen infantry?
No, this is the Numidian infantry set.
Oh, right.
They do have one,
yeah. Yeah, they do a mixed one where they add sprues from different ranges into the one you're talking about, I think.
Does look very Carthaginian.
Yeah,
all the same area, aren't they?
No.
All ancient, all in the past, isn't it?
So, Numidian infantry.
They're sweet though.
I'm just looking them up because I don't. Oh, right. Okay. So, yeah, you've not painted these red. is the thing. That's
No,
Could have given them
and
money if you wanted them red.
there is actually a reason for that. Even though I've got a Zulu army and a Numidian infantry, Numidian army, and I can use them as separate armies. But I also use them together as a fantasy army, and I add like giant gorillas and things like that. And I wanted them to have a similar scheme in terms of color scheme to what I painted the Zulus. So the Zulus were sort of a black and cream color scheme. So I made these in a similar black and cream.
I think though the Numidians did wear red. Is the reason I'm saying that.
They did, yeah.
Oh yeah.
A bit like
From a
Massage,
historical
it's their
perspective.
thing. They're red. All right. Interesting. So you've got a Carthaginian army for ancients, and you've got a fantasy army which has got you've mixed in some Zulus as well.
Yeah.
Nice. So what about this one?
This is a sample I painted for. I was talking about a commission that just turned up today. And I'm doing an entire desert elf army for TT Combat for their TT fantasy range. And this is what they're going to look like.
An Egyptian looking elf?
Yeah.
Neat.
Is it?
Peak.
Can I zoom it in at all? Yeah, it's this pose is a bit weird, isn't it? Is he squatting?
It is kind of weird. Don't look too close to the pose. I didn't sculpt these.
like he's supposed to be sat on something, but it's stood up.
Perhaps it is a cavalry model it was the only one that they printed to send to the sample paint.
It's a really odd pose, man.
I like squatting dudes. It reminds me of RTB 01s, man. That's awesome.
Maybe she's bracing for impact.
Maybe.
Bracing to do something, yeah. Push one out, mate. Roman trained infantry. Right, next picture. So this is one of the scenery sets. Is this Nantic scenery for their deck?
It is. And John and I did this.
Ooh.
Actually, Carla helped with this as well, didn't she, John? Yeah, she did. You did help with this, didn't you? Yeah, this was a crazy commission. One day, Mantic contacted me and said they were running behind on some box covers that they needed to do for their terrain crate range. And they said, am I available to do a load of terrain crate scenery? And I, of course, say yes to everything. And so I then phoned up John and went, John, I've got a week to paint all this Mantic scenery. Come help me. And we spent, how long did we spend, John? We spent all weekend doing this, didn't we?
I was coming round in the evenings after work. We were doing weekends. We did weekends. I say that meaning one, but we did a lot. You were just non-stop on this
because it was a lot. I mean, this is just one picture, but it was the entire Dead Zone terrain crate stuff. There was a ton of scenery bits, and we worked tirelessly. Huh?
It's an elephant. Look on screen.
This is for my Numidians. This is from the Victrix range, and again,
it's symbols of Tanit on there. Very nice.
This is also a transfer.
Oh, that's a transfer, is it?
Yeah.
From
again, Little Big Men Studios. Those transfers are brilliant. I tell you what.
They're very nice. Go on, tell me that the Howder's got transfers on it.
It does.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you zoom in?
I painted the outside of the Howder and everything like that, but that little tapestry on the side, so the cream and brown. Yeah, that's a transfer.
Nice.
That's friggin' cool. How do you prep? Do you need to prep it a specific color under these transfers, or can you just go straight over?
Styling haircut, mate. Look at that dude.
I do it white, so it makes it brighter.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but then I painted the outside green.
Take notes. Take notes, Kaiser. Take notes.
Mate, I've got a Victrix. Is this a Victrix elephant?
It is, yeah.
Oh, mate, I've got one downstairs.
Mate, get on it.
Does yours look like that?
No, man's grey on sprue. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Right.
6.
Is that King John or something?
Yeah, that's King Richard from Fireforge Games.
Mhm.
Richard the Lionheart. It's for part of my Crusader army that I've been working on. So I've got the footed mounted version of King Richard here. Then I've done a unit of just Crusader Knights, and now I'm working on a couple of units of Templar Knights. And then after that, I'm going to be doing a unit of oh man, the name has left my head now.
Hospital.
The knights, the Black Knights with the white cross.
Hospitalers.
Hospitalers, that's it.
St.
Yep.
John's ambulance dudes.
And then I'm going to do some basic Crusader stuff as well, just from Normandy and things like that. But I'm a big fan of the Crusades and things like that. And then once I'm done with the Crusader army, I then have to do an Arab army to go with that.
Naturally, that would be good.
This is from Seventh Continent. It's another board game, and that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is I think it's 6 or 7 or 8 mil miniatures. And these are some of the monsters that come with it. In the front there is a little fire.
That's a little 5p piece underneath that.
Oh, yeah, that's tiny.
That is tiny, tiny.
So you should see the heroes. They are absolutely small. But I quite like this. This was an interesting task for me to try and get as much detail into that smaller scale.
Yeah, man. What is it? I saw a picture somebody posted. Oh, boo! Dry brush fail. I saw a picture of some 2mm Napoleonics, some British, and it just looked like.
Wasn't it just soldering iron drippings?
Yeah, mate, it was grim. I was like, how is this infantry?
I can sell you soldering iron drippings for very little money if you like.
This is from a board game called Merchant's Cove. And what these bases here, these aren't the Green Stuff Riders, these are hand painted.
Hand painted.
Very nice. GVC Paints approves of the white under the transfers.
Is that confirmed? That is confirmed.
Crusaders with my Arab army. Look at that. Tony Halton's going to have you, mate.
I know, he's been texting me, telling me he's got miniatures to fight me with.
Fight you.
These are village attacks. This is a vampire. From that, I made a little diorama. I got an extra miniature in my box. So I just thought of for fun.
I made the coffin.
I was going to say, didn't you make that coffin, Jan?
Yeah.
These
premium cost the coffee stirrers, mate.
Nice.
These are some of my knights from my Crusaders. There's old Jabba the Hutt from the Star Wars board game.
You sure that's not Slimer? Oh, yeah. That thing. That was fun.
John made me do on this. He made me individually ink every single rivet and groove and piece of terrain on that whole thing. It took me freaking hours.
Yeah, man. That was a good set.
Yeah,
you
this was
used some airbrushing on that, didn't you?
Yeah, to get the little rust on the bottom. And I think we used a stencil to do the repair base symbol.
Oh, there. Very nice, yeah.
No, mate, that was me doing my. That was freehand.
Oh, really? That was so long ago. I gotta remember. I thought we used a stencil.
No.
This is again Super Fantasy Brawl.
That's cute.
I didn't realize the thing had a rider. No!
That's brilliant.
With a little.
Yeah, just some kind of lizard thing. It's like, no, mate. This is cavalry.
These bases, by the way, are pre-molded, so these bases come like this.
Right. So where do you stand on that? Vegetation sculpted on miniatures and not on bases. I'm very against it just because of the stylistically it ends up looking very different from all the other vegetation on your table. But I know they do it. How do you feel about that, Jason?
I'm on the fence really, because like me and John used to play a lot of games together, and we went through a period where we were using everything on clear acrylic bases. And I quite like that idea. Yeah, you're still in there. And I quite like that idea because they can go anywhere on any terrain, and it's so easy to do. But at the same time, I really like making interesting looking terrain bases. So it's, you know, I'm on the fence. I like themed bases, but I also like, you know, just plain bases, because it does look weird. Like Games Workshop at the moment are bringing out all their characters on scenic like pillars and stairs. Yeah, everyone's, and it looks great, especially in diorama poses. But when you're playing on a snow field and there's this dragon dragging along a stairwell with it everywhere it goes, it looks weird. That's also, I'm kind of on the fence with that.
Tough call.
Like you, Kelly, me and clear base. The problem I have with clear bases is partly the basing is about 50% of the quality of the finished model. It gives some contrast and so forth for me, and to have them on clear bases, they need to stand alone, looking very decent, and mine definitely don't. You know what I mean? It helps the finish, the result look better by being on a painted base. And also I'm never finished with models. Like now, while we've been doing this, I've just been putting a bit more dry brushing on the base, and I'm going to glue some more tufts on these and tidy up some bits. This is a model I painted 3 years ago. You know, and then to use an acrylic base, you got to be done, varnished, finished. That's never going to be touched again before you can mount it on a clear base.
A painter told me once when I was asking a question, they said the 3 things that you always have to focus on when you're making models is faces, bases, and flags. Is that once you got those 3 things, that's where your eyes are drawn to. How does the base look? How does the face look? If it's, you know, a flag could be anything, you know, like something that they're carrying or something that's takes your eye away from the miniature. So I totally agree with you. The base brings the whole miniature together as well. You know, like there's also this thing where you know, like we paint sand to look like sand because because obviously it looks weird when you have normal sand with a painted miniature, because it's kind of like, you know, like Carla told me one day, it's kind of makes me think of that Roof Frame Roger Rabbit movie where you have like animation with real life in the same movie. And that's what it looks like when you have painted models with real life, you know, scenery. So it's just one of those weird things, isn't it?
Rosie's chipping in with like bunting again, John. I don't know what that's.
Oh, she's obsessed with that. All right, I'll say it once and then that's it. Bunting. There you go. That's it.
Right then. This is an interesting looking model. Where's this from?
It's also Super Fantasy Brawl. This is one of the sort of kabuki gorgons. The theme of that game is very interesting because it's obviously characters.
Like a Japanese Medusa.
Yeah, it's characters from all over the worlds and different universes and stuff. They come to one area to fight in a big arena battle, and they got some really strange characters, but some great ones like this as well. This was one of my favorites.
Yeah. This is a cool miniature, and you've done a cracking job there. I think even got like a rattlesnake component to it, hasn't it?
Yeah,
very nice. I think I've seen this before somewhere in a movie.
It's a big turd monster.
Jason won't know what it's called.
Some Star Trek in it or something?
I thought it was from Starship Troopers. Isn't it the thing that poops out?
Could be.
This is from Route 66. Tony will know this. Me and him used to do a little campaign for this.
Route 66. That's a Star Wars thing, is it?
Yeah, you're basically racing. It had quite an interesting mechanic. It only has 3 tiles or 4 tiles, but as you race off the last tile, the tile goes to the front again.
Yeah.
So the road constantly extends like that.
Genius.
That's more of that stuff we've seen this stuff. All right, so we're on to the other things. Okay, there's not much to see, but just to let people know where we've got to, because we're gonna get 10 minutes left. Woo!
Cool.
I think less photos next time. It was great to see the photos, but it's become the entire episode, hasn't it? So about that. So we have played the American Civil War Black Powder game, and that will be coming out probably next Friday. I think we did it. It was all right, wasn't it, John? What do you think?
I enjoyed it. We kept it small, as you will see when it comes out, but it's I enjoyed that a lot.
Look at that. This Jay Bizzle Finished basing
Oh,
his
Skelly Bobs.
Hey.
These are the Skelly Bobs I was working on last.
Are
last
these the Oathmark skeletons?
No, these are the old classic G-Dub Skelly Bobs.
Right.
But they've got the current range shields though. But
what are you using these? What are you using these for, John?
It will be Age of Sigmar. It will be Oathmark with you. It will be whatever else.
Ah, cool.
Fantasy. You mentioned something about Saga, didn't you?
Yeah, I just find it amusing that you can't get away from painting skeletons.
Mate, as I was saying, this is like my third undead army.
And this one, John?
That's the Dreadnought that got battered in that there game, if you haven't seen it already.
If you haven't seen the Ultramarine bashing Warhammer game that we put out last week, it was fun. Got next game tomorrow with James Workshop is coming over with his Tyranids. And we're going to play on what is an unusual battlefield for Warhammer. Are you ready, Curly Mike?
Yeah, let's have a look. Oh, we're getting live. Oh,
this is
nice.
our battlefield.
Yeah, rural. Works well with Tyranids.
Rural planet.
Well, I figured a lot of biomass, but obviously we've gone with that sort of to Warhammer it up amongst the biomass. We've got like, you know, a bit of Promethean refinery going on.
Yeah, looks good.
So kind of trying to get a bit of an Endor theme.
Are you guys playing Grimdog Future from One Page Rules?
No,
we're playing Warhammer.
You can't describe 40k as one page in any way, shape, or form.
Definitely not. So, well, I should have said this while I was doing this, Mike, because you know the rules a lot better than us. So the idea, I have a bit of a thing about forests in war games, to be honest, which is that if you go to the edge of an area of woodland, what you will find is it is about 10 to 15 foot thick of undergrowth, like 10-foot high bushes.
Yep.
Breaking into woodland, you can't just walk into a wood if there isn't a path. Because where the trees stop, other dense vegetation begins before you hit the grassland or whatever. So what we're playing with this is we're going to actually use, and you see we've surrounded it all with the clump foliage, is we're going to play as they're impassable.
Yeah, it works. I mean, the beauty of the new terrain rules in 40k is that they have keywords, and you just assign them your keywords. You don't have to follow any advice in the book. They specifically say, do what you want with your own terrain. So you make those impassable, you make them obscuring, and that's fine. And people can't walk through them, and you can't shoot through them either. If you want to be able to shoot through them to represent somebody firing a las cannon through a group of trees, which is quite possible, then you make them the concealing one that gives -1 to hit instead of blocking line of sight. Either would work really well. Just choose before the game and just play it that way.
Sweet.
Interesting idea.
So good.
Going there. John and I are also hoping to meet up tomorrow, and we will record the 2,500 subscriber giveaway, where we'll be giving away for free the Bolt Action Starter Set Band of Brothers, which Warlord Games kindly donated to us. I'm saying we will tomorrow. Are you still on for tomorrow, John? We feel good. We're still good. That's what we're doing. Right. Only a few minutes to go. Where did we get up to? I actually finished dry brushing my movement trays, and I didn't bring any bleeding PVA up. I brought the tufts up, but not the PVA. So I didn't get to glue on the tufts, which would have had me finished. Because immediately after James and I have played on this board, John and I are going to play on a similar board, and we're going to do SPQR. Miniatures are painted. We're ready to do Wormans.
I've painted the other day. I painted one of them there hovels roundhouses in super quick time, which was much as fun.
Downstairs, mate. Downstairs.
And I've just finished up the haystack.
Hey,
so that's good. So fresh,
looking
aged,
good.
Fresh, aged, fresh.
Because one's a roof made out of thatch, and the other one's a pile of hay. Yeah.
And then the hen house is nearly done as well. I just need to get the whitewash on. But yeah, I think we're good to go, mate.
And there was some teeny weeny metal mice came with that hen house, wasn't there?
Yes, so tiny that I don't
Yeah.
know where they are.
You're not going to see. Talk about blobs of solder. They
Yes.
are.
I could see that they were mice, though.
Second printing of questionable rules. We never played the first edition, although I watched some videos and it looked terribly unbalanced. But it seemed more than anything it was a points issue rather than anything else. The Romans were just grossly
Points issue. And the bloody parry rule. Oh my god. The parry rule. That was the biggest thing I took away from SPQR first ed was okay. They had rerolls to hit. If you were fighting somebody with shields, it would force you to reroll any hits, and you're attacking with 30 dice. And again, reroll. At least they've changed it now. There is a reroll from a large shield, but it's on the armor save. So once you've figured out all the hits, you take your armor save. You're re-rolling if you have a large shield, re-rolling ones if you've got a small shield, stuff like that. So they've changed all the re-rolls from one end, really top-heavy, to manageable. So I think that speeds up the game. And as Kaiser said, stats are a little bit more balanced and points are a little bit more aligned. But it's a fun little game. But you need an objective because the brawl in the middle is not fun.
Well, like any skirmish game, we played a couple of test games. You need something that forces you to disperse because your entire army is very small in that game, and it's all going to be able to fight each other in one big mess of a melee, which is a fun experience. Mike, we have not heard much from you this evening, and I feel this is a disappointment.
That's okay. I just like interrupting and chatting. I painted a dude red, kind of, and he's got a bit of green and a bit of gold, like most of my models.
Nice.
Dark Angels. I mean, you said this is a Dark Angel dude.
So this is a Dark Angel. I mean, I've had these models sitting under my bed since the box set came out. Like most people, they buy the box set, never use the models. I'm going to a tournament. I'm using my red Space Marines as Dark Angels, but I needed to paint 2 characters for them. So I have a Azrael and an Ezekiel, who are 2 of these special Dark Angel named characters who I'm painting up to use. I'm very anal in my miniature painting. I've got a massive collection of Space Marines, as we all know, but I have certain ways I paint them because I paint everything red, but I paint lots of miniatures that belong to different chapters, but I have little rules. So if I paint a miniature red that's a different chapter, I usually have its chapter colors on other parts of the model. Like these are all wearing dark green cloaks because they're Dark Angels, and this guy's got a bone-coloured cloak because he's a Deathwing guy. So I have these little rules that I follow in my own head that make no sense to anybody else.
Right. and you're going to use these Dark Angels as part of your Chaos Space Marine army, are you?
As we all know, they are the best of the Chaos Space Marines. No, we're going to a 4-man team tournament, and we really needed a really solid army you need different types of armies. So I'm going with a Dark Eldar, a Mechanicum player, an Eldar player. So we really needed an army that could sit at the back and take a load of punishment. So I'm playing Dark Angels.
With all the plasma guns. Excellent. Jason, did you paint anything this evening while we were on?
I didn't know. I was doing all the talking. But I did do earlier before the stream. I did. I don't know if you guys remember the Heart Foundation. Where the hell's my camera?
It's there, right in front of you.
It's on your computer.
There it is.
Oh, sweet. Brett the Hitman.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I painted him. And I did some more undead skeletons for my halflings.
Halfling skeletons, man. Nice. You got a real halfling thing. So Jason, over on Battle Knights, I think it is on Battle Knights channel, you've been painting the Starks for Song of Ice and Fire, and they are finished now. Is that right?
They are, yeah. They're ready to come back to you.
Ready
once John gets his ass out.
Yeah, I have to come get. I didn't know. I know they were close.
So people, potentially now just sat here all evening looking at you showcasing your work. If somebody thought, I need this guy to paint something for me, where are they going to find you? And how much do they expect to pay?
Well, I mean, I have a Facebook page called Painting Nights, and there's a link on all my videos and in the description. It's on Facebook as well, obviously. For price-wise, that can depend a lot on the miniatures and that sort of thing. But as a general rule, as a baseline where I start, for a 28mm human-sized miniature, it's about £10 a figure.
Right. Okay. So just before you get out there, I'm looking forward to getting those Starks. I'm looking forward to you collecting the Lannisters, of course, and we're going to actually play a game at some point.
Yeah, but man, look forward to it.
Even longer before you get your own painted, right?
It might be, yeah. I was saying to John, I've got a crap ton of stuff that just come in again from various companies that I have to paint. So this little brief moment of I had where I was painting my own stuff is now going back on the top shelf again.
Right.
Nice.
And what was Carla painting this evening? Tonight's mystery guest behind the computer screen.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab some of the stuff while she's not looking.
All right.
What the hell? So this is a big mushroom forest.
That's good stuff.
Yeah,
Ooh.
so she's doing all these scenic stuff. Where's the one with the slug on?
Is this stuff
that
actually been shown on Bad Squiddo yet? Are you breaching any kind of deal here?
No, these are you can buy this off their website already.
Right. They've been released already, have they?
Yeah, there's just we're doing the painted version so that there's going to be painted pictures on the packaging and that sort of thing.
Right.
But
I thought it might be for a Kickstarter or something because I know Annie does stuff that way. Showing the stuff before it's actually released.
So yeah, she's been busy with that. Sorry, Bob.
Very nice.
We've got loads and loads of that scenic stuff there. I've just got a ton of TT Combat Fantasy Owls that you saw earlier. And I also did starting a new commission for a new company. You guys might have heard Wargames Atlantic.
Oh yeah.
All right. Grognards.
So I'm not doing Grognards. I can't say what I'm doing just yet.
Oh,
as it hasn't been released yet, but I will say it's round about the 1860 period.
1860.
That means nothing to me. Is it a Space Marine?
It could be American Civil Wars. It could be Mexican Wars. It could be the Austro-Prussian War, but I very much doubt that. So I'm going to go with American Civil War.
Okay,
we'll
find out.
It's going to be Franco-Prussian.
Really?
Yeah.
1871.
Yes.
Okay, 1870 to 1871.
I always try to be, subtle so that I don't give it away too easily.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But you're right. It was too specific for me to feel it could be in the next decade. You said 1860s. It's like, well, it's definitely not the war that lasted 6 weeks in 1871. Right. Okay.
You're the wrong person to be non-specific with, Jason, about
Prussians. That's a very odd period to be picking.
Well, Wargames Atlantic are a very odd company. I mean, I believe, don't get me wrong, I love the Wargame Atlantic stuff, but I believe they have a big dartboard on the wall with all these different periods and stuff. They're just throwing darts. We're going to make this set. We're going to make that set.
Right. Franco-Prussian War. We're into extra time now. So there's one major conflict in the period. It's the war between France and Prussia. There was a war with Austria in 1866, which was equally a walkover, and this is the German unification wars. But the battles are a total disaster for everybody that isn't Prussia. It's just like not a war game, if you know what I mean. Like how?
I think there's a JVC Paints is on the stream tonight, and he's been doing some Bavarians and French, and he's going to be using bolt action as the rule set, which I think is a pretty good idea.
Well, that's interesting because one of the things in the First World War, the Germans, as they invaded Belgium, were ruthless. They killed a lot of civilians, which was great press for us, obviously. Filthy, devilish Hun and all that sort of thing. Because in the War of 1871, the Franco-Prussian War, there were a lot of what they call franc-tiraliers. There were civilians shooting the Prussian soldiers from rooftops and so forth during the occupation. And so the First World War brutality was a response to something they assumed was going to happen again. You know what I mean? At the end of the war, at the end of the war of the Franco-Prussian War, they were like, right, next time we need to be ready for this. So we're just going to walk into the town to string a few people up and say, don't do that. And that might work. I'm not trying to justify it, by the way. I'm just trying to kind of explain. There were no real instances of Belgian and French civilians shooting at the German army in the First World War. but the Germans had a good reason to believe that they would. So it's just it's one of those really kind of unfortunate historical accidents. They're expecting it to happen, so they're preemptively being brutal. It doesn't justify what they did. I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to say what, but they didn't do this. They didn't used to behave like this. Why did they start doing it? So, but the Frank Terrellier thing does make a potentially interesting game within that 1870s setting.
Yeah,
because on the battlefield, it was just a disaster for France. It's like, no, this isn't and the historical gamer in me has a lot of problems with that. But you play bolt action, Jason, right? If I told you tomorrow I was going to play bolt action against your gems, I'm playing French, would you expect to utterly crush me in a game of bolt action?
I mean, it's you normally think if you're maxing out your army, you'd think that you'd be able to. I would definitely crush you. But when you play like me and John, it tends to work the other way around.
Well, I think Spanish war gamers end up with a point system, and you often find that these nations that performed really badly historically actually do quite well. Because they've got some creepy unit in there, like, I don't know, they pay half the points cost for snipers to try and make them interesting. And that just levers a particular advantage. They're saying, hang on, you've lost sight of the fact that these guys got crushed.
Yeah. It's really a choice, really.
They shouldn't be better. They're not better. They're a lot worse.
It's really a choice, really, if you want to play it historically correct, or if you just want to play it as a sort of a friendly game, if you like, that's just balanced.
Yeah. It's the difference between a game and a simulation, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think as someone who plays a lot of historical games, though, it's that history is a really important part of why I want to do it, which is why when you mention in Franco-Prussian War, I'm really struggling with that. I was thinking, if we're playing battles in this period, there's only one winner, and it's really, really decisively a win for
Josh Wood has confirmed that the French special rule is for a free medium artillery. So there you go. That's what their thing is.
That's not a bad thing to have on the table for free, there, is it? In bolt action,
that's a big advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. French famously having 6-inch howitzers on the front line all the time in the Second World War. Everybody knows this, right? What? Try to make them different again. So what you need to do, though, when you're looking at those periods, what I'm saying is find some way that you can play the game where you've removed yourself from that particular episode. You've removed yourself. I wouldn't want to play Franco-Prussian Big Battle because there's something wrong with the rules if the Prussians just don't win hands down. But in some kind of counterinsurgency operation, now that's a very different game.
Yeah,
and that's a game where there's a game.
Well, that's where I like to play, is in that narrative element, where you create a non-fictional fictional setting, So,
yeah, you find that battle where the French did counterattack on one flank and it went quite well, and you played that bit.
Yeah,
on this bit, because the zoomed out stuff. Quite grim, guys. We are 10 minutes over time, so I think that's about it for this week. I'd be interested to know down in the comments and feedback. Let us know. We started half an hour early. We did a poll a month or two ago. Should we stay at the same time? Should we start earlier? The results were almost exactly 50-50, making it quite difficult.
Always the way.
So we shifted it half an hour earlier in the hope that might still work for both groups. Be interested to know what you think about that. It also gave us the scope potentially to do a bit of a longer stream sometimes if we wanted to. It has been great to have Jason on the channel again, showing us all of the stuff, and we will be back next week. We've got
could be anybody.
We've got a game coming out on Friday. I forget what it is already. Boo.
SPQR.
No.
You're playing that.
ACW on Friday. American Civil War.
ACW
10 mil black powder on Friday. Tomorrow is John and I unboxing the bolt action British Airborne Army. So it's coming out tomorrow. And next week you will see, because we'll record it tomorrow, or at least next week, the 2,500 subscriber giveaway of the Bolt Action starter set. That's it from me. Any final comments from anyone, guys?
No, I want to smoke. Let's go.
All right. Bye-bye.